Oh, what a mess.
Let's move on to the next retail accessible virtual reality experience, Sony PlayStation VR, or PSVR.
Yeah, so this is an exciting product.
What can you tell us about Sony PSVR? Actually, can you hold it up? That's maybe you could show us.
100%. Hold on one second here. We've got the PSVR right here. So PSVR is actually a really, really nice product. It's obviously it's made by Sony. It's designed specifically for the PlayStation 4. It has the ability to play VR games in full stereoscopic VR, and it allows you to play standard content, 2D content, on a giant big screen TV in front of your face. So if you don't have a TV that's very big, like if you have a small apartment that is and you can't fit a large screen TV into, but you want a large screen TV, the PSVR can offer you that option as well. So it's a really cool product. It's made very well. It's obviously Sony's been making peripherals and consumer devices for a long time, so they put their expertise into that. You can tell from here, you might have seen some of the pictures of the other headsets. I'll actually just quickly pull them up just to give an example. So this is the Vive. You can see how the strap goes overhead. That's fabric.
Right here.
Yeah. And then this is the Rift, which also has an overhead strap, fabric. And so this one here has a totally different type of strap, and it pulls out and then actually cranks onto your head, which allows them to leave the headset away from your eyes. So it actually pulls out like that, which allows you to put glasses in there. So out of the three headsets, the PSVR is actually the best one out there for someone who wears glasses, because you don't even ever have to touch your glasses. So that's a consideration you should think about if you are someone who wears corrective lenses. If you can wear contacts, any headset will be fine. But if you wear glasses, the PSVR has a definite advantage for you. And I've had several of my friends confirm that. I don't wear glasses myself, but many of my friends do, and they all said the same thing. The PSVR is hands down the best one for someone with glasses. It's built a little bit tougher than the other ones, I'd say. It's made of nice plastic. There are some weak points on it, but if you're careful with it, which you should be, it's got a screen and lenses inside. You don't want to be throwing it around anyway. I think this will last pretty long, but there are a couple of points you should take into consideration. I showed earlier how it slides out. So it slides like this. This part here kind of looks like a hinge when it's out like that. And a lot of people have a tendency to try to tilt it upwards, which you can tell there's a little bit of give. You don't want to snap that. That's not a good thing.
Not covered by warranty?
I don't know, but I mean, do you really?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and then another thing that I saw is, so there's a button here that releases the lock, and there's a thing, and you can see there's a black band. It's kind of over my forehead there. Mm-hmm. That's actually an elastic band, and that gives the tension to pull the headset back together and tighten over your head. That is a weak point too. It's literally a rubber elastic band. So I've seen one report already where someone snapped theirs. So you want to be careful with that. But otherwise, everything about it is really well built and really nice. And the price point is much better than the PC connected stuff. You're looking at about, if you don't have a PlayStation 4, you're looking at about the same cost for a full kit with the PSVR, with the controllers that come with the bundle kit, and a PlayStation 4 Pro console for roughly the same amount of money as just buying a Vive or buying a Rift with touch controllers. So when you factor in the cost of a computer, which is about that much money too, it's about half the cost to get into a PSVR for a premium VR experience. compared to being on PC. Now, like you would expect from a cheaper product, and I'm not saying this is a cheap product, but it's less expensive. So there's going to be some differences in quality, and the main issue with quality difference is the tracking. You might have read some reports or heard some reports where there's tracking issues with the PSVR.
Actually, Kevin, if we could rewind just a touch. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So when it comes to the tracking for PlayStation VR, I understand it's positional tracking. Yes.
Yeah, so there's positional and spatial tracking, but it's limited spatial tracking in that the space that you can move around in is limited. But it's full spatial tracking. You can lean in, you can lean out, you can even take a step forward, take a step back. You could sort of do room scale, but the zone of tracking from the camera is too small to do room scale. And so Sony has really pushed the seated experiences, but that doesn't mean that it's only orientational. It definitely has spatial tracking. The camera itself is actually a stereo camera. It's got two lenses that are picking you up, and so it gets calibrated to where you're sitting, and from there it can tell where the headset and where the controllers are moving.
Okay, good stuff. So you were explaining about the limitations of the tracking earlier.
Yeah, so the tracking limitations are that it's basically comes down to it's working with it's two stereo cameras, but their field of view is fairly small. So you have to be at least 2 feet away from the camera, but you can't be beyond 9.5 feet beyond, or 9.8 feet past the camera. So you have a 7-foot depth, and then you have a 6.5 foot width of space that can be tracked total. If you go beyond that, then your hand will start to jitter. If you go even further, then the head just kind of loses tracking. And you'll get a warning if you go past the tracking space, but all the games are designed to be stationary anyway. You're not supposed to be really moving around with the PSVR. You're either going to be standing or you're going to be seated. So that regard, it doesn't make much of a difference. What does make a difference is light in the room. If you have a room that has a lot of light, a lot of natural light specifically, so if you are next to a living room window and there's a lot of sunlight, you might have some trouble. In my experience, I've been seeing that every once in a while the headset kind of slips off calibration. But Sony has actually worked that out, and there's a quick fire recalibration. Even while you're playing, you just hold one button for 2 seconds and it'll center everything again. So they've taken care of that. It's really clever.
So let's talk about what's available. I mean, it's people are gonna. It's an investment. Whether you have a console, you don't have a console, you got to, you buy the device. What's readily available for PlayStation VR?
Yeah, so I mean, there's the console's only been out for a month. Or sorry, the platform, the PSVR headset has only been out for about a month. So there isn't a lot of game content out there yet, but there is a fair bit of stuff that's coming down the pipe in a short period of time. Sony said there's going to be 50 titles by Christmas. So we're right now, there's roughly 20, maybe 25 titles out there. A lot of them are short little demos. A lot of them are I shouldn't say demos, but short experiences. So, for example, one of the most hyped experiences is the Batman Arkham VR experience. And it basically lets you be Batman and experience the Batcave and whatnot. But it's not a full-fledged game in that you're not going out to Arkham City and catching bad guys and that sort of thing. You're just kind of playing some mini games inside the Batcave, and it's roughly a half an hour experience from what I've read. I actually haven't played that one yet because I haven't gotten a copy of it. But the game is fairly short, and for the price, it's a little bit pricey, which is one of the reasons I haven't picked it up yet. It's $25 Canadian for a roughly 20-minute experience, which is you're looking at more expensive than a movie. And if there's not a lot of replay, that's expensive. That said, there's a lot of great content that is going to have a lot of really good, like a lot of replay value. So, for example, if you're a racing fan, Drive Club VR is a new title. It's not even a tack on to Drive Club. They made a whole new game for VR, and it's full multiplayer. It's what you would expect from a Drive Club game. And it's all VR, 100%. And there's coming down the pipe in the new year, we're going to be able to play Resident Evil in full VR, start to finish the whole game. The one criticism I have about the way Sony's doing this is they're advertising a lot of these pieces of content as VR titles, and then when it comes down to the details, you find out that there's only a small bit of the game that's actually available in VR.
Oh.
So Resident Evil is able to play start to finish 100%. You can start the game from the first moment and play it right till the finale in virtual reality, first person, stereoscopic, the full deal. Now, they're also advertising, for example, Tomb Raider. The new Tomb Raider, the 20-year collector's edition thing that they just launched, that game is advertised as a VR game, but what it actually is they made an additional level for the game, which is VR. You can play it in 2D or you can play it in VR, but you can't play the entire game start to finish in VR. Same goes for the tie-ins that they're doing with like Call of Duty and Star Wars, right? So there's a Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty game, the new Call of Duty game. It just came out. That has kind of like an Eve Valkyrie spaceship fighting game tie-in, but it's a 5-minute demo.
Okay.
It's
so just when people buy the. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, that one's a free piece of content, but that's one of the 50 titles that Sony is advertising. So when they're saying that there's 50 pieces of content, it's not like there's 50 full-fledged AAA games. There's a handful of games, and there's a lot of experiences to try.
But it sounds like there's more to come. Like this is just it's
plenty. I mean, Sony has invested plenty into this. They were working on this for years. They're not going to abandon it anytime soon. There's developers that are working on some great content. There's lots coming down the pipeline. But if you're buying today, know that it's just like any new console launch. There's only a few pieces of content, and it's going to be a little while before the library is robust.
Okay, good stuff. So let's talk about pricing. All right, so let's say we're getting set for the holiday rush. What do you need? How much is it going to run us?
Yeah, so I kind of alluded to it being the same sort of price point as the Vive and the Rift, without mentioning the prices themselves. So the PlayStation VR comes in 2 different bundles. You can get the base package, which is $3.99 American or $5.49 Canadian, and that comes with the headset and a demo disc. You need a PlayStation. You also need a PlayStation 4 camera. So the camera is another $59 American, or I think it was $75
right.
Canadian.
$74.95.
Yeah. So you're looking at a little over $600 Canadian and about $560 American to get the base PlayStation VR. That doesn't include the Move controllers, which opens up the full scale of what you can do with VR. VR is incredible as it is, but when you add hand presence, it makes it a whole different experience. So if you want to have the hand presence and you don't already have Move controllers, in which case you'd need the full bundle, which is available for it was $5.99? Yeah, $5.99 American and $6.99 Canadian.
So no, for the bundle it's $6.99 Canadian and $4.99 US.
Yeah, and so that includes the camera, the Move controllers, the headset, the demo disc. So that is this guy, demo disc, which includes I think it's 18 different titles to try. It includes a demo of Eve Valkyrie, Drive Club, the Riggs Mechanized Combat League, Battlezone, Headmaster, Wayward Sky, Tumble VR, and several more. It also has Until Dawn: Rush of Blood, which is a scary shooter game on a roller coaster, and that one's actually a lot of fun. And then the bundle also includes an actual game. There's a lot of glare there. There you go. It's called PlayStation VR Worlds, and this has 5 mini games on it, and they're actually quite polished games, and this is something you can buy in the store if you don't have the bundle. So it's a really good deal to buy the bundle itself. And if you don't already own Move controllers, then you probably should buy the bundle if you're getting the PlayStation VR. The non-bundled package, the base package, is really designed for people who own these already. The Move controllers, believe it or not, are not different from the PlayStation 3 days. These came out for the PlayStation 3. They were the competitor to the Wiimote controllers, and Sony hasn't changed them, right down to the micro USB. They have a mini USB port instead of micro, which is what everything else in the world uses today.
So you might be able to save a little money by using your older equipment.
Yeah, dust off your old equipment from the PlayStation 3, or if you happen to use them for the few titles that it works with the PlayStation 4 already, you're already ready to go. You don't need to buy those controllers, which is the reason that the base package exists in the first place, because you really do need the camera. You can't play without the camera. And so if they would have included the camera with the bundle, they might as well have included the remotes too, so they've got 2 SKUs. But go ahead.
Okay, good stuff. So the next question I have for you, PlayStation 4 Pro. This is a new release. Mm-hmm. Why is it important? Is it important?
I mean, for VR, it's really nice, but by no means is it a necessity. Sony made sure that the PlayStation 4 was capable of doing everything that was necessary to run the PSVR. But the PS4 Pro is actually just an upgrade in every way, basically. It allows you to have higher resolution, faster load times. If you have a 4K TV, it lets you play games in 4K. It's just a higher end, faster, it's just newer hardware. It's like buying a new PC that's 3 years newer. It's just going to be quicker just because the hardware has advanced. You don't need it, but I would recommend it if you don't have a PlayStation already.
So if you already do have a PlayStation, like I've got a PlayStation 4, okay, it's not the Pro, unfortunately. Would I see any noticeable difference in VR titles from one to the other?
Noticeable is debatable. It depends how good your eyes are. Some people can see the difference, some people can't. And some games don't have any difference at all. What the PS4 Pro allows is what's called super sampling, which in layman's terms, it basically means that it's a higher quality image being pumped into the display. So, for example, imagine having if you have a 4K TV, you might have a Blu-ray player that has what they call upsampling, which allows you to play your video at a 4K image and it kind of looks a little crisper. That's sort of the same thing. It basically is it's a better rendered image getting pumped into the display. But if you don't have really good eyes, you're probably not going to pick up the difference. There are some games that are going to have a little bit higher detail. Maybe you'll see a little bit crisper color in some places. Maybe you'll see a couple of extra objects in a scene. But as of right now, the differences are so minute, it's not even worth worrying about. The only major difference, and the only thing that's actually noticeable, is load times. Load times are way quicker on the the PS4 Pro than they are on the standard PS4.
All right.
And that's really the only thing that's a consideration.
Okay, good stuff.